A surprising number of the world's greatest photographers have created their most iconic images using just one camera. Not because it was the newest or most expensive, but because it was the camera they knew better than anything else. But in looking around today, photography culture encourages us to look for more features, more upgrades, more gear, almost like as if these were the solutions for your work to stand out. But what if your creative breakthrough isn't about finding a better camera at all? What if the real key is in choosing one and sticking with it long enough? Let's talk about something that might be holding some of us back and actually look at specific real examples of people that stuck with the same setup or the same camera with a combination of a lens or two, and how they went about creating their work and how that was a game changer for them and why. So grab a drink, make yourself comfortable, and let's go straight to another video. Here's an interesting issue that I propose. Based on my personal experience and in the students I come across, a lot of photographers, especially those starting, never settle with a camera long enough for their vision to truly develop. First, I believe that we're spoiled for choice, and that choice can be overwhelming and take us in different directions. Every time you switch to a new camera, you're faced with a whole different workflow. You spend more time learning the machine and less time developing your vision. This is something that has happened to me personally, so I can here speak from personal experience. At first, I was fascinated with the possibilities. I started with a Pentax K1000 a really long time ago, and I had one camera only, and then suddenly I was like, ooh, but I like this camera, I'd like to try this and like to try that. And I had loads of cameras throughout my life, from different Leicas to Voigtlanders to Hasselblads to etc. And actually I've come to the conclusion that less is more, and so I've made the change because I found that when I switched between cameras, my style actually was very inconsistent and I didn't even know what I was looking for. I was trying to find myself whilst also spending a lot of time trying to figure out this new tool that I had. And this might not necessarily be a bad thing. Some of us are absolutely fine with this, and that's okay. This video is not going to be for every single person that's going to watch it. However, one interesting and a more negative consequence of this is the fact that your attention might become fragmented, like mine became. Instead of being present in the moment, your mind can become caught up in technical choices and endless options. And when everything is possible, nothing really felt, for me personally, intentional. More options promise freedom, but actually what happened to me was that they diluted my focus. And that's why so many photographers we've studied here on the channel made a different choice. They picked one camera and stuck with it. Now, I just wanted to preface this that they obviously changed throughout their lives, but they, for a long period of time, worked with the same camera, even if they had 2 or 3 of the same, but there was the same camera, same method, same workflow, and that ultimately paid off. And this is not to say that if you work 10 years with one camera, that you might not change your mind and adopt another tool and start developing a different type of work. For instance, when we look at the work of Joel Meyerowitz, who I've referred to here on the channel quite a lot actually, he started as a street photographer working with a 35mm Leica, very kind of compact, very on the move, and then he suddenly stopped for a period of his career and he decided to go to Cape Cod. He adopted a large format camera, so a different tool, and actually decided to do different work, and his work is beautiful either way when you look at it. And so when we look at famous examples, we can talk about Cartier-Bresson, for instance, because he famously relied on a Leica rangefinder for over 40 years, capturing his so-called decisive moments with a tool that he mastered intimately and saw as an extension of his eye. In fact, he wrote in his book, The Mind's Eye, quote, "For us, the camera is a tool, the extension of our eye, not a pretty little mechanical toy. It is sufficient that we should feel at ease with the camera, best adapted for our purpose. Adjustments of the camera, such as setting the aperture and the speed, should become reflexes, like changing gear in a car." Vivian Maier's unknown but later iconic street photography sprang from her long relationship with her Rolleiflex camera, while she did try other cameras later on, it's the Rolleiflex that seems to have been a preferred tool as we can judge by the work that she left behind. And if we look at Daido Moriyama's example as well from Japan, his signature grain came from his devotion to fixed lens compact cameras, especially his Ricoh JR series. And when I studied his work, I discovered that he sticks with one simple tool for each phase of his career, which is actually very interesting. Another more contemporary example, Alec Soth, builds entire projects around a single large format camera. So you can see where I'm going with this whole thing. But now I think I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of this and some other conclusions that might be helpful. And I'd like to start with this. Limitation fuels intuition. The secret isn't all the options technology can afford you. The secret is sticking to one camera that you know so well that it eventually disappears from your conscientious mind, meaning that all the settings or calculations you might do will eventually disappear because you'll know your camera so well that in the case of film, you'll be used to the different focus zones, to the different lighting conditions, and it becomes a reflex to adjust and shoot continuously. When you work with a single camera over and over again, your hands learn every button and dial by the heart. In a digital setting, when you work with a single camera over and over again, your hands learn every button and dial by heart. You're no longer distracted, therefore, by different settings or menus, because with this deep familiarity, it means that you'll move faster, that you respond to scenes with a little bit more of a reflex action rather than hesitation. So over time, I think your images might start to reveal a rhythm and a voice or even a style that's truly akin to how you see the world, because it's truly more from the intuition and a reflex rather than an exercise of thinking. So contrary to popular belief, one camera might not necessarily limit you, it can actually help you sharpen your style and help you being creative on the go. But let's put this into practice. So if you pick a camera you genuinely enjoy using, don't worry about how many features it has, where it might fall in the industry standard, or even what the reviews might say, if it's the best or not the best, or what's the caveats with it. Choose the camera that feels most natural and easy for you to work with, and commit to it for the long haul. That might mean giving yourself real time, months or even years, not just a couple of sessions here and there. This is eventually what I've done, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a combination of my personal experience with also reading how all the other photographers that I admired worked. And so what I felt was like that this familiarity grew with my camera. And in the meantime, I think you should resist the urge of keep switching entire systems and bodies. The more you limit these changes, the freer you are on what you want to say with your work, your ideas, and developing your own storytelling. I do believe that over time, as you get to know your camera without much conscious thought, your intuition will take over. And that's when a different type of creativity flow will begin, because nothing will necessarily get between you and the moment. You'll see it and you'll just do it. And hopefully this will help you with also thinking deeply about your identity as a photographer and what you want to say with your work or through your work. If for me, over time working with the same camera, I realized that a pattern started to begin about what I found consistently in my photography, and also what resonated more authentically with me, because that's what I truly enjoyed photographing. So sticking to one camera might prove to you that over time, your creativity was always tied to your attention and to your eyes, your patience and your willingness to work on yourself rather than focusing on what's on your hands. But of course, as we all know, building any kind of creative routine doesn't just end with picking the right camera. It's also about optimizing your workspace for focus, comfort, and flow. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about today's sponsor, FlexiSpot, and how they've changed how my workspace works, pun intended. For anyone like me who spends hours editing, archiving, or working on scripts, a solid environment makes all the difference. I used to work at a desk that was honestly a simple desk, but I actually realized there's great advantages in working with a standing up desk. Switching to the FlexiSpot E7 Pro standing desk has genuinely changed my workflow because it's easily adjustable with one touch of a button, and I can easily switch from sitting to standing and keep moving throughout the day. So there's no more slouching for me or zoning out in the same chair for hours, which I tend to do. So it's also a plus for my health. But the desk itself is actually super sturdy, so it handles all my gear and books, and it's also customizable for any setup. Plus, FlexiSpot's dual motor system means that heavy equipment is no problem, and their 15-year warranty gives me and you real peace of mind. The setup was pretty easy and straightforward, and you can actually adapt it. You can add a walking pad, cabinets, or whatever works for your space, but as you can tell, I'm very minimalistic, so I love the way it comes, and that's how it has been set up for me. So right now, they've got a sale going on, and if you use my code on screen right now, you'll save an extra your E7 Pro. Just hit the link in the description to get started. And so for me, having a workspace that keeps me comfortable, but also focused for longer periods of time, since I don't have to take breaks to stand up and walk around, I can actually just walk as I work, which is a weird thing to say, but it is true, and I've done it. I think it's a plus. It's a little bit of a luxury, but it's a luxury that I love to invest on. And so I'd like to thank FlexiSpot for this marvelous desk, and also for their chair, because they're also the makers of my chair that I use. I've used this chair for over a year at this stage, so I'm speaking from personal perspective and from a personal experience. So link will be down below if you'd like to check. It will help massively the channel. And with that being said, it's all that I've had for you today. Take care, stay safe, keep shooting, keep creating, keep learning photography, and I'm out.